The next speaker is the Honorable Maotwe.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Speaker, we must state outrightly that we reject this budget. The Parliament we were introduced to 10 years ago was very efficient in aiding our work to hold the executive accountable. Our deepest worry, Chair, relates to the competence of the Secretary of Parliament. Never before has the joint sitting been delayed by over 30 minutes over a simple issue of electricity. The chaos and total disorganization that characterized the first week of Parliament included double booking of venues, absence of translation services in mini plenaries, and lack of equipment such as sound and broadcasting services. Today, we are debating under a marquee which we have long asked for, particularly a dome marquee as a temporary structure of Parliament, and we have it because it was bought during the funeral of President Mandela. This Secretary has not demonstrated competence on this and arranging of venues. The Parliament building burnt down over 2 years ago, and all that we were told was that they were removing rubble for 2 years. We still do not have a plan for a temporary structure whilst the rebuilding is taking place. The NA building burnt down because its health and safety standards were not in place. As we speak, it does not look like other buildings of Parliament like Mark's building or the NCOP has improved its health and safety standards to be insulated from fire or other disasters. They are even still under-maintained. House Chair, with the current Secretary who earns over 4 million per annum, which was upgraded from just a mere over 2 million, we do not think the crucial project of rebuilding Parliament will happen with the much needed speed and quality. There is no believable plan that it takes his work very seriously. Chair, we continue to call on Parliament to relocate to Tshwane in the capital city. The legislative and executive houses must be in one city, preferably Gauteng, which is much more accessible to the people across the country than this Cape. The advent of fire should have given us the opportunity to relocate, which will save a lot of money in running the house. Already, when we was asked about constructing a temporary structure here for Parliament, he kept bringing a proposal that will cost over 600 million to just bring this structure here. That is very suspicious, but it tells you that actually Tshwane should be the only option. Many of our members, over 50% of which are new MPs, have not received their gadgets to connect with their constituencies. Parliament has been open for over a month. Of course, more budget allocation should be given to build more extensive support for MPs to do their legislative work, in particular, the Bills Office, which also gives support for private member bills. Our concrete proposal as the EFF is that additional to playing a leading role in different international forums such as PAP, SADC, and Interparliamentary Union, the 7th Parliament must play a leading role in the BRICS Parliamentary Forum and make sure that its engagements and meetings take place from time to time. This is to provide adequate oversight of the developments in light of the changing and dynamic global balance of forces. Yet, it is a fact that this GNU, the government of Dinonyane, which was formed by the white capitalist establishment, hoped to bring everybody into a signed alliance with the national executive, thus extinguishing the opposition. It seeks to mask the contradictions of race and gender that the ruling elite has failed to resolve since the dawn of our democratic society. It sought to silence the voices of the oppressed on the urgent need for land and economic freedom in our lifetime. The decision by MK, EFF, ATM, NCC, and UAT in particular to resist and stay in the opposition benches is not only revolutionary. It is the best act in the defense of the Constitution and its founding value of a multi-party system of democracy. Our constitutional duty as Parliament is not to aid the executive or protect it or advance its interest. For 30 years, one single party has dominated these benches, using its majority to undermine scrutiny on the executive and accountability. The tyranny of the majority was seen in action recently in the suppression of the Phala impeachment, where the sitting president must come and answer about the reported abuses of power and possible human rights violations. Chair, today, this tyranny is continuing in the form of GNU. Many in GNU ranks have attempted to demonize those who chose to stay out of the government of Dinonyane, seeking to paint them as divisive and unconstitutional. But this band of semi-illiterates, ex-convicts, and waffling careerists know nothing about the Constitution, particularly its founding ideological arsenal. They don't see that the Progressive Caucus is the best development in strengthening parliamentary oversight. We must state categorically clear that to criticize the executive is a constitutional duty. The GNU, which commands close to 70% of the House, wants to operate without criticism. They want a situation in which they are the executive and the oversight. Eliminating opposition, what a crying shame. They were already using the against-them majority to force committees to adopt APPs and budget of departments without scrutiny, in a process of prioritizing the executive and using parliament as a mere rubber stamp. We have scored few victories as the Progressive Caucus on the new rules on speaking and sitting arrangements, as well as definitions of majority and opposition. We will still fight to integrate it in the rules that parliament committees must be chaired by members whose
Honourable
political
member, your
parties
time
are
has
not
now
represented
expired.
in the executive. Chair, we must reiterate that the people of South Africa shall govern. The
Honourable
voices
member,
of the people of
your
South
time
Africa
has
shall be heard.
expired.
Will not be suppressed here in this parliament. Thank you.
The next speaker is the Honourable Adebe.
Honorable Chairperson, the ongoing repairs to the National Assembly chamber following the devastating fire in January 2022 have led to a second consecutive year of the State of the Nation address, the budget speech and other major plenary sittings being held outside the parliamentary precinct. Today, our legislature plenary session and debate takes place in a tent. We shouldn't be proud of a tent. Who would have thought that this is where our legislative arm of state would be confined to? This situation has exposed our weakness in reacting swiftly as an institution when times of disaster strike us. In many ways, we draw parallel to many departments in South Africa that also face such weaknesses. We need to make tough decisions about what we should do to rebuild this parliament. We must fast track the reconstruction of parliament, budget accordingly, and exercise due diligence. After all, this is a key public institution and one that is the guardian of the lives of South Africans. While the use of Cape Town City Hall, Cape Town ICC and the Cape Good of Hope building have been a necessary patch, it is clear that these arrangements are insufficient for the long-term needs of Parliament. Years ago, there was a proposal to build additional offices on this very piece of land, and maybe today we should revive this proposal once more. Hybrid sittings are incredibly complex, with some members facing challenges beyond our control when it comes to time to deliver their speeches. However, at the same time, I must applaud the parliamentary staff who work in the background and the table staff who run things seamlessly even when chaos may break out. Unfortunately, I think the budget has missed the need for the construction of new buildings alongside the revival of the old ones. The budget cuts of all arms of state are understandably a reflection of the poor economic situation the country is in. We must look to the future and plan for a capable and revitalized state. Under the cloak of the GNU, it is no better time to come to the table and make proposals on how the future of Parliament develops. However, we must not merely look for superficial developments. We must plan to address the criticism of where Parliament falls short in its mandate and use the room for improvement. Part of this improvement, but something that should be done with greater urgency, is Parliament's Wi-Fi and connectivity. we must understand that the current limitation is that where there is an abundance of users, the speed slows down. However, we are an institution that on any day has a few thousand people on the premises. So we must find a solution to Wi-Fi challenges on the precinct and the parks. On the matter of committees, the IFP calls for greater capacity to be given to them with regard to oversight and study tours. The committees need to spend more time investigating and probing entities who rush close reports together in an attempt to pull the wool over the committee's eyes. By the end of this year, Parliament should have committees that have KPIs that require a certain number of oversight visits per year. Our committees are needed to drive the change of each entity, and the GNU will not succeed unless Parliament plays its role in driving the change of thinking within our departments and entities. We must continue to build capacity and professional departments in this country, and committees have the power to bring about this change if given more capacity in terms of funding. Honorable Chairperson, considering the comments made, the IFP support budget vote 2. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member.